Overnight, another European country legalised recreational marijuana use. So will Australia head down the same path?
Midnight in Berlin as Germans celebrate new laws legalising the recreational use of marijuana.
To not be seen as a criminal if you have a joint instead of a beer.
We will celebrate legislation every year on April 1st.
Anyone over 18 can now carry up to 25 grams of dried cannabis in public and grow up to 3 plants at home. And from July 1st, growers' associations of up to 500 members can be established to grow and distribute the drugs on a not-for-profit basis.
It's a bit stingy for me. We've got 3 bills in different parliaments in Australia at the moment to actually try and legalise double those amounts. But look, it's a terrific step forward for Europe.
Smoking joints within 200 metres of schools or in pedestrian zones during the day will be banned, but the changes still leave Germany with some of the most liberal cannabis laws in Europe, alongside Malta and Luxembourg.
I feel like people should have the right to choose.
The evidence is out there in other countries.
Other places that allow recreational use include Canada, South Africa, Mexico and, as of 2020, the ACT here in Australia, where adults may possess up to 50 grams of dried cannabis and grow up to 2 plants each.
All the evidence now is it's a win-win-win across the board. And the benefits of changing the laws, the massive costs of policing, courts, jail, but even bigger than that, I think, is the social costs that the war on drugs is doing.
But while medical marijuana is legal Australia-wide, using it recreationally is banned in all other states and territories.
Criminalising someone for having a couple grams of pot on them is just a waste of everyone's time, I think.
And while those in favour say easing laws would eliminate the black market and improve quality control, the AMA is more cautious.
Recreational use, particularly in children and young people, can lead to a range of health problems, and most concerning of those is the risk to people's mental health. There's no reason to think that if cannabis was able to be grown in people's backyards, that it wouldn't get into the hands of teenagers.
But as more countries legalise smoking weed, is it just a matter of time before Australia joins them?
The old stinkweed.
The stinkweed?
The jazz cigarette. It's
Yes.
coming.
The wacky tobacco.
Do you think this will happen?
Well, it looks like it's inevitable, doesn't it? Because it's happened in so many places around the world.
We don't. This is too cool for Australia. We'll never do this.
Well, it's happening in so many places where they've done it, and states in the States where they've decided to legalise it. Now some of them are trying to backpedal on it because it comes with all these attendant problems.
So
yeah.
I think it would be it's one of those things that we think is a cool thing to do, but I think it is so early in this journey, and you consider what the possible consequences could be. I think it would be reckless, actually.
It's an amazing herb, there is no doubt.
Yeah.
But I've been with a friend who had a psychotic episode after a joint, and it was horrendous, and he'd never had one before, and it was just terrifying. And they just spoke about the mental health implications. It's not like just everyone's like, oh, that's cool, let's have a joint.
Yeah, but there's so many more complicated secondary effects that could have. So, for example, what happens to medicinal cannabis? If you, which is something that I think most people would think is actually a good development.
Yes.
Like a lot of other much stronger drugs, when it's distilled in the right way and so on.
Yes.
Right. But what happens if you open up recreational cannabis and open up to the profit motive? So now you've got companies trying to... How many companies are going to be investing in medicinal cannabis as opposed to recreational? So you can see a decline in investment and even availability. It's like it's been bad in some places for people who are trying to access medicinal cannabis, because there's all these sorts of, like... Then there's the idea of, like, if you legalise it, you get rid of the black market. Well, actually, that hasn't turned out that way, because the black market's always going to be cheaper, and often it's going to make better stuff because it doesn't have the same regulations that all these other places. So... I don't know, I just think this is one of those things where, it's sweeping the world. Well, not the whole world, but parts of it. I just think it would be in Australia's interest just to go, why don't we just wait a long time until, not the first hump and the second hump, until it's settled.
Just pack the billy and watch how the world unfolds.
I mean,
let's not drink the bong water too quickly.
Got to be the first time anyone said pack the billy on this show.